Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Agent Power Huddle and welcome to Scripting Fridays. Today, I'll give it a minute while people are jumping into the room. Today, we're actually going to cover a lead source that has been converting at above 50% for me. In fact, I went 7 for 8 in the last week getting listing agreements signed. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the scripts I use. We're going to talk about why you might want to implement this in your business. And then we'll open it up for Q&A. Does that sound good? How many of you would like to sell more houses?
Me.
Hopefully everybody, right?
Good morning.
Morning, Allison. Nice to hear your voice. All right. So what I'm talking about is a lead source. Why is this blocking everything? Oh my gosh. You know, I've had such a lovely time with technology lately.
Send it, love.
Yes, exactly. All right. So, I got to do one other thing. There is, let's see. Can you guys still hear me? Please, Phil.
Hear you.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right. So what I'm talking about, and hopefully Autumn, you can edit out that dead time, is Google local service ads. How many of you are working with Google local service ads? How many of you would like to work with Google local service ads, or Google LSAs, as we call them? They are the follow-up to PPC. So they are super effective, and they also convert at a really high pace. And I'm going to explain why and how I'm able to do that. But this whole video is just going to be a deep dive on how to get set up, how to start receiving them, some hacks on how to get more of them, and all of that. But here's how it works. They actually give you a tool within the LSA account, your LSA account, that shows you how much you're appearing in searches. So I've had what's on the screen right now is the last 30 days. I've had almost 9,000 impressions, and I'm appearing 97% of the time, and I'm in the number one slot almost 16% of the time. And as you guys all know, people tend to click on the pole position person, right? So you can do this too, and I'm going to teach you some hacks that help you raise these numbers. So let's start though with the agenda. All right. So we're going to talk about how you get set up to do it. We're going to talk about the script that I'm using to convert. We'll talk about some tweaks or hacks that you can use to increase your lead gen. And then we'll talk about some resources that are available to help you close more deals. And I'll explain what I mean when I get to that part. So first thing is, how do you get set up? Well, before you even launch into this process, you want to optimize your Google business page. You want to have products in the product section. You want to have questions and answers in the Q&A section. You want to have 20 Google reviews at a minimum. Otherwise, they won't approve you for an LSA account. So check your own Google page. If you don't have that, start working towards getting that. Send out messages to your past clients, or if you're newer, you can send Google review requests out to vendors in the industry, friends, people that just know you and can comment on what a decent person you are. You know, those will all qualify. And a couple of Google review tweaks that you should know if you ever do them for someone else: mention their city multiple times in your review. This is my go-to realtor for the city of Seattle or wherever, right? Because that will get recognized by the algorithm and promote them higher with those reviews, right? Then you have to complete the business verification tool. So couple tidbits. If you're watching this and you're with EXP, Google won't approve your business address because it's a Regis location and it can't be verified as your business because there's so many other businesses that share that same address. So if somebody has a workaround for that, let me know. But I've had multiple people on my team try and do that and were unsuccessful. So if you're comfortable using your home address because we're a cloud brokerage, great. If you have an office, use that address, great. They will actually ask you to shoot videos of the entrance and the signage and all the stuff to verify the business. So just keep that in the back of your mind and decide what you want to do and if you're comfortable sharing your home address. I can tell you, I've worked out of my house for decades. So, I own my home. You can search for my home address all you want. I'm not that worried or hung up on disclosing that. At the same time, I have a security system. So anyway, here's the link, and I will put this in the chat if you all can copy this so that you can dive into it and you can kind of see what's going to be asked of you. But let's take a look at it so you also can see what's going to be asked of you. If we go up here, if we move the chat out of the way, and we paste the link, right? So you get to this page, and then you just click this button up here or this button over here that says Get Started. And then it's going to walk you through a sign-up process to create your profile. Like I said, you should maximize and optimize your Google business page, in which case you're not going to create a new profile. You're going to link your current one, and the system will automatically do that. It also will pull over your Google reviews into the LSA portal so that you hit the number of 20. Does that make sense? So just plan to do that and walk through that and get this thing going for yourself. It does take a couple weeks to kind of get everything verified, and then it goes into Google and they analyze it and they come back with questions or feedback. There are a couple things you'll notice when you get in there. It's going to ask you for like evidence of your license. Well, that's easy. What about evidence of your insurance? So just make sure you have a copy of your firm's E&O insurance and upload that. Just normal things to verify who you are and what business you are. Right? Once you've done that, you want to be ready, because what happens is these are live transfer phone call leads. And I have tried, I'll just share my experience with this. I've tried using a phone tree, didn't convert a single lead. Switched it to my cell phone, started converting like crazy. So people don't like dropping into if you want, to buy, press 1. If you want to sell, press 2. If you want to rent, press 3, whatever. That just doesn't convert very effectively. But if you have the bandwidth and the time, put your cell phone in there. Being a woman, I'm not comfortable using my home address. That's totally reasonable, Allison. And that's why I qualify what I said. You have to decide what you're comfortable doing. If you don't have an office and you don't want to use your home address, there are some services you can pay for to give you a mailing address. That it's basically like a P.O. box, but it doesn't look like a P.O. box on an address. That's what you would need to do in order to pass through this criteria that Google puts out. So just keep that in the back of your mind. And if you have struggles, all of you are always welcome to reach out to me. So then your phone rings, right? And they say, hi, this is so-and-so, and I've got a house in wherever, and I wanted to talk to you about listing it. Like, that's literally how they talk. They are at the bottom of the funnel, and that's why they convert at such a high level. So ask a lot of questions, listen, build rapport, right? People work with people they know, like, and trust. Well, they know you because of your Google presence. They're going to decide if they like you based on this conversation. And they're going to decide if they trust you based on the conversation plus Google reviews, right? But it can happen all in the same conversation. So, like I said, I've had 8 of these in the last week, and 7 of them ended with me sending them an electronic signing invitation for the listing agreement. Imagine that. One phone call with a stranger, and they signed a listing agreement. But there's such an enhanced credibility that comes from Google reviews. Like, I had one guy, he's like, your face just looks very trustworthy. And I had another gal who read all the reviews and said, people just love you, and so I want to work with you. Like, that, obviously you get to pick which reviews you put up. So choose them carefully, right? But in the end, you can absolutely take these from hi, nice to meet you to I'm sending you the contract. And one little wrinkle that you might do, depending on how that conversation goes, is I've said, why don't I send you the contract first in a PDF so that you have a chance to review it? And then if you have any questions, we can hop on another call, or you can just text me and say, looks good, send it for signing. I did that 3 out of the 7 times, and all 3 times there was no need for a second phone call. They just said via text, send it. So it can be pretty simple. I will get to that, Julie. We'll get to the cost of all this. All right. So here's the script that I use to convert. I'm going to move you guys out of the way. I don't know if you've seen all the news, but basically they no longer let us provide brokerage services without being hired. And being hired means signing a listing agreement. Does that make sense? And they go, yeah. And I go, because of this new rule, what I'm doing is I'm making it easier for my clients by also providing them with a cancellation agreement at the same time so that they know they can fire me at any time. Does that make sense? And they go, oh, yeah, that's actually kind of smart. Right? And then I say, do you want me to send you the paperwork so we can get started? Yes, please. Right? And if I hear any apprehension or, question in the tone of their voice, I'll say, and why don't I just send it as a PDF first so you can look it over? And that way you have a chance to ask more questions. And they go, okay, that's it. Right? Now, the guts of the script is the first part, which isn't really scripted. It's just you listening and asking questions and understanding their timing and motivation and building rapport, right? But then we use, here in Washington, we have Senate Bill 5191. I will know this number for that bill for the rest of my life. You probably know the name of the law in your state, right? So just say, I don't know if you've watched the news at all, but there's a new law. It's called blank. And what it says is we're not allowed to provide brokerage services without being hired first, right? And by the way, the law is mostly focused and was written because of buyer brokerage services. But it's the same with listings. As brokers, we've been much more willing to get a listing broker signed or an agreement signed because we don't want to lift a finger until they hire us, right? Well, that's all we're doing here is we're using the law, even though it's geared for buyers. It doesn't explicitly say buyers or leave out sellers. Sam, are there any concerns for potential issues if I use my address for, let's give the address topic. We'll leave it to the end. We'll kick it around for as many minutes as we need because I want everyone to decide what's comfortable for them. Like, that's the bottom line. But we'll bang through this information. And like I said, I've gone 7 for 8. So what are some of the nuances or hacks that you can use? Well, number one is you want to have a big budget. I started with $1,000 a week is the budget. And mine today is at $10,000 per week. Now, hear this very clearly. It will never hit my budget. The highest it's ever been is $500. But what putting 10,000 in there does for the algorithm, it tells them that I am open for business and ready to take care of customers. And it feeds me more leads because of that. So I know that might be terrifying to some of you, right? But I'm telling you, I've never, ever had a week where it got anywhere close to that. Christine, you're muted.
Are you talking about running a Facebook ad?
Did you miss the beginning of this?
Just now, my husband just called me, so
Oh, yeah. No, this is Google local service ads.
right, okay.
So there's in that portal, once you guys get through the sequence of verifying your business, then you have access to a portal, and I can show you mine, but it basically says what's your geography, what area do you cover, what's your budget, what are your hours, all of these things, and what client types do you want, and then it'll start feeding you those calls, right? I'd say leads, but a call is better than a lead, right? Now you're on the phone with them.
Right.
So that's why I wanted to stop the share so we could all look at each other and let it sink in that I know 10 grand a week is a scary number, but it's not ever going to get triggered. And, if I get the leads cost anywhere from 50 to $75 a lead. So I'm getting 8 to 10. So 500 to 750, kind of in that range. Right. You also can consider opening up your territory. If you're in a densely populated area, Google best realtor in whatever borough of New York you're in, Christine, or best broker in Ventura County, Allison, and see how many people are showing up, because those are Google LSA participants as well. So what I did is I did all of King County, but King County, which is where Seattle is, and Bellevue is the second largest city in Washington. It's pretty densely populated with realtors and very competitive. So what I did was I opened it up to the entire state of Washington. And then leads started flowing big time, but in areas that I wasn't going to drive to. So we're going to talk about what you could do if you wanted to follow my lead and do the same thing. But just recognize that if you're in a densely populated area with a lot of brokers that are doing this, the frequency of the ads could be fairly low, and you might want to consider branching out. Okay. All right. So, if I do all of Washington, I'll give you the best example, right? The first lead that I got when I opened it up to the whole state was in Chesaw, Washington. Has anyone heard of Chesaw, Washington? Yeah, and neither had I. And I've lived here for over 30 years. It was in the Okanagan, right? Okanagan County, which is near the Canadian border. And it was a seller who Googled Chesaw, Washington realtors, and bang, Ed Laine shows up at the top of the list. And he's in San Diego. He's in the military. And he's like, yeah, I got this 20 acres. Can you help me? By the end of that phone call, using the script I just shared with you, I sent him a listing agreement to sign, and he signed it. Then I went, because I'm with EXP, I went into the agent to agent referral portal. So I'm just going to show you guys what that looks like. If you haven't used it, it's pretty powerful. There's two ways to get referrals, brokers to work with in other parts of the world at EXP. One is through Workplace, which, if you're not familiar with Workplace, it's a Facebook business product but there's groups, right? So I could have gone to the Washington State group and posted, ISO in search of a listing broker that covers Chesaw, Washington. Or, and what I did instead, because I was just so curious, because I'd never heard of this town, I went into my.exprealty.com. And if you go down here, tools, there's this agent to agent referral portal. And I can come over here. I got signed in. It's all part of your single sign in thing. And I can come down here, refer to an EXP agent. And then I click up here and click new referral. Right. And you can see all these leads I've handed out in the last week. So this is the customer info and the referral percentage. And I'll share with you what I've been doing, whether it's a listing or a buyer. But look, there's this button right here. So if I click on that button and I come over here and I search by location, Chesaw, Washington. Bang, I get all these people. And the guy that I chose, actually, you know what I did on this one? Because all of these folks are in Canada. So for this one, because it's so close to the Canadian border, I actually did go into Workplace. In fact, I can just show you guys that. If you're using Workplace, it's actually really effective for referrals. And I just put, I went into the referral network, right? So there's multiple referral groups. Like this one has 18,000, this one has 22,000, this one's small. Here's Washington State. I could have used that one, but I used the big one. And then I just posted, I'll just show you the, where is he? There it is, Scott Holmstrom. So I posted it. Somebody tagged Scott. We exchanged a message on the post, and then we moved to this chat part. And I said, "Good morning, Scott. Andy Holmstrom tagged you in a referral I posted. Do you cover Chesaw? I do some work on the east side of the state. Can you give me a little more info? Sure, it's 20 acres, vacant land, blah, 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 blah." And I do, let's see. I don't know if it's in this chat, but for listings, I get a 50% referral fee. For buyers, I only ask for 35 because I figure they're higher maintenance, right? You got to get in the car maybe multiple times and all that. So I want it to be attractive and an incentive, but I also know that I'm the one creating the opportunity, right? You're bringing a lot to the table when you do this. So I've got a signed listing agreement in Chesaw. That listing is now live and active. I've got a signed listing agreement in Centralia, Washington, Aberdeen, Washington, Yakima, Washington. I know I'm missing one. Oh, Omak, which, I mean, all these are little towns in Eastern Washington. And the seventh one is in Mission, Texas, because it was a buyer lead that said he had a house to sell in Texas. I said, we cover Texas. Right. And I've had a couple of people that have said, your phone number makes it seem like you don't cover my area, though. And I just say, well, I run a pretty large team and we cover the entire state. So the good news for you is you get 2 for 1. You're going to get boots on the ground and you're going to get me as well. And I've been doing this for 38 years. I have all this experience and, blah, blah, blah. Usually by that point in the conversation, I've already plugged my experience to some extent. Like you should all have sort of an elevator pitch of what you do and why they should pick you. So one other thought, and then we'll open this up to questions. If you're with EXP and you want to use this opportunity to recruit, could I have gone into the MLS, search for people that had closings in Chesaw in the last year or two, and then start calling them and saying, hey, I've got a seller. They've already...
Snap.
What's that?
I said, oh, snap.
Right.
That's a great idea.
Right. And what I do is I've got the listing agreement signed in my name. And then once I figure out who I'm going to partner with, then I just add the text of their name and send it again for initialing just to add. So now we've got a listing agreement signed in both our names. And every one of those listing agreements I sign for 4%. So can you get more money? Potentially, right? It's up to you to decide. There's no collusion going on here. I'm just telling you what I did, right? So I'm trying to think, there was one other thing I was going to touch on, but why don't we open it up for questions now on this whole system? Does anybody have any questions? And this video will be posted, by next week. You can watch it and rewatch it while you work through that business verification process. It does take a little bit of time, and you want to have your documents handy, like E&O and license and all that. Yes, Allison.
Have you figured out how to do it out of state yet?
I have. Yeah, I haven't implemented it. So Allison reached out to me and said, can you generate leads down here? And I'll be happy to split them with you as well. And the answer is yeah. What I have to do is start a Google LSA account in Ventura County with an address in Ventura County, right? Mm-hmm. So the guy that taught me this, and any of you that are with EXP, you have access to him as well. His name is Darren Isaac, and he generates leads in 3 states, and that's all he does. But I run a pretty large team, and I still sell houses myself. So, could I see it getting to that? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But, right now, my time to you're my first guinea pig though, Allison. I will.
Okay. I'm happy to be a guinea pig. Let's be magical money magnet guinea pigs.
Exactly. But yes. Who's that?
Just a quick question. So you're placing these Google ads, or you're identifying an address or set up a Google business, running ads off of that, and then partnering with agents in that area. Someone wants to list their home, you put a listing contract together, put them on the listing contract, and then you partner it. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. One tweak to it though is I run my Google account has my address, and that's the only address I've linked it to. But within the portal, I can say, but I cover the whole state of Washington. And that's the rest of everything you said is absolutely accurate. Okay. I just didn't want you to think that I'm running separate ads for different areas. Nope. I got one ad and it covers the whole state. I had this conversation yesterday with the lady. Yeah, your phone number seemed like it was out of Tacoma and I'm in Goldendale. Well, my phone number is a 206 area code. That's Seattle proper. So she was wrong on her assumption there. And I don't know where the hell Goldendale is. So I jumped into Google Maps and went, oh yeah, no. But it's been pretty, I won't say elegant, but effective to just say, but I run a pretty large team. We cover the whole state, and I have somebody that covers Goldendale. And the best part for you, Susan, is you're going to get me and them, right? Now, if they ask me for their name, I'm not going to be able to give them a name until I find out who I'm going to partner with, right? So I just say, what I'm going to do is look up, I have a team roster. I'll look up who covers your area and I'll get back to you. And they go, oh, okay. Christine, you have a question.
On your Google page, what if you don't, what about not having an address?
Yeah. So you have to, for a Google LSA account, you have to pin the account to an address. So, you can use your firm's address if you're with a firm that isn't using a Regis location like my firm does. You can use your home address, or you can try and there's a couple services here in Washington, and they're probably in your markets as well, that it's like a UPS store. You know how you can have a personal mailbox at a UPS store, but that still by the US Postal Service was not considered a mailing address. There's a new business model that's come out that is said, whatever they have to say to portray it as 1234 Happy Street, Suite 210, even though it's a mailbox. So just explore that. And like I said earlier in this call, I'm guessing there's somebody who figured out a workaround with Regis. I would love to know how they did it because I've got people on my team trying to do this.
Because on mine, I don't have an address.
Yeah. Are you with EXP?
Yes.
Yeah. So EXP has an address.
No, well, when I was on with Google, the gentleman was on the phone with me because I didn't want to put the Forest Hills EXP address. I didn't want to put my home address. And whatever he did, I don't have an address on mine.
Your Google business page or your Google local services account? Yeah. So you don't have to have an address on your Google business page. You do have to have an address on your local services account. Yes. Julie said Google LSA and Google business are different. And the answer is yes. You're linking your Google business page. That's why you want to optimize it to your LSA account. But the LSA account is a separate part of Google.
And I'm sorry, what is the LSA?
Local service ads.
Okay.
So you're advertising as a local service provider that is in the real estate industry. Sam, I'll come back to your question. Are there any concerns or potential issues if I use my home address for my business, but select the option? No, you can do that. And there's no repercussions of saying that customers cannot visit the address. Christine, we already talked about that. Okay. How much do you pay for your ads? I think I touched on that, Julie, but I'll say it again, just so you guys can hear it again. I pay between 50 and 75. And the most I paid in a week is 500. It's actually pretty interesting. They use AI to listen to the phone conversations. And, we all have the concern of, well, that wasn't a lead. That was a janitorial service soliciting my business for janitor services or whatever, right? When that happens, I jump into the portal and it'll say already credited. So it goes through all of the leads, all of the phone calls, and either says charged or credited or in review. So you can appeal anything. If it was a rent, like I've told Google that I don't want rental leads. And so I've gotten a couple and they credit it, right? Your ad is local service ad. That's right, Suma. That's exactly right. Did I miss anyone's question before we jump off? Yeah, I think I got everybody. Any last questions before we log off?
Do you do the ad for your listing also in Google?
Do I do the ads when?
For your listing in Google? Google ad?
I don't. No.
Okay.
Yeah. I do local service ads and then I promote my listings through social media, but I don't run ads against my listings.
Against your listing. Means you may get the clients from your ad, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In Google.
Yeah. That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get it actually. You are creating ad in local service for your listing.
No.
No.
No, I'm getting seller leads from my local service ads.
Yeah, I got it. What
Yeah.
about listings? You do for your listing, you don't go to Google.
Nope.
Why?
Because I generate leads on social media and I don't need to generate more on Google. I'm generating plenty of leads on Google.
Oh, got it.
Right? Like, are you running ads on your listings to get the listing sold?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, that's not necessary.
it's not necessary. Yeah.
Yeah.
I use both just to show the numbers to the sellers. I do Facebook and Google.
Yeah. No, that's smart. Like, I used to run Facebook ads that were geofenced and then I'd include demographics so that only my seller would see it. But then they would see it and they'd think everybody was seeing it. And it'll just reinforce their their like belief that I'm the guru, right? Julie said, do you run just certain hours? Yes, I run 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And she said, can you share one of your ad templates? There aren't any. I literally don't create the ad copy. I just set up the account, set the budget and the geography, and they run the ads.
Yeah.
So if you Google, you know, awesome realtor in Spokane, Washington, 16% of the time you'll see my name. Right? 96% of the time I'll show up in the list, and then 16% of the time I'll be the number one.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody. I appreciate your participation and your time. I hope you have an awesome Friday and week.
You
And see you next week.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
have a wonderful Easter weekend, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, everyone.
Bye.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.